right, Rhythm Zone, Moicano versus Duncan. What's good? It's RHYTHMBETZ. This time we're not just taking picks. We're backing everything with real metrics, real mismatches, and real edges. This card, it's all about where the money and the numbers don't match. Let's get into it. Now you guys know we're going to be starting off with the green zone. We got Abdul Rahman Yakyaev coming in at that minus 1,800. This is one of the biggest statistical mixed matches you will ever see. 20.95 strikes landed per minute versus 3.06. Only 0.95 absorbed versus 4. 14.29 takedowns per 15 minutes versus almost 100% takedown accuracy and defense. This is zero grappling resistance, zero striking defense. This is domination everywhere. All right, next up we got Alessandro Costa. This is clean versus chaos. Opponent absorbs 6.69 strikes per minute. Costa more accurate, 44% versus 34%. 83% takedown defense versus opponent's 25%. In translation, Costa keeps this standing and his opponent gets hit a lot. I'll say, throwing a prop Costa by a finish is pretty elite here. Next up, we got Azamat Bekoyev at the minus 550. This is pressure versus weakness, 4.49 takedowns per 15 minutes versus 1.83 Gore. Only 31% striking defense. Bekoyev lands and pushes pace. Gore gets hit and controlled. It's a bad combo. Prop to throw in there, Bekoyev by finish. Now we have one of my favorites of the card, Rafael Estevan at plus 136 odds. This is where the value is. 6 takedowns per 15 minutes versus Ewing's 3. Ewing absorbs 5.13 strikes per minute. Estevan only absorbs 2.59. Now let me translate this. Ewing throws volume, but get hits a lot. Estevan controls fights. This is a control plus efficiency gap the market is ignoring. All right. So Estevan. Now we're getting into that yellow zone. All right, we're going to talk some dogs. We got Renato Moicano. People see volume, I see efficiency. Better defense, 59% versus the 51. Better takedown defense, 62% versus the 50. He's just the more accurate striker. Duncan throws more but gets hit more and defends less. This is clean versus chaos fight. Moicano submission is live here. Now we got Virna Jandiroba. Lines have definitely flipped, but I caught her at a plus 100. This is a grappling mismatch hiding in plain sight. All right, 1.50 submissions per 15 minutes versus 0.1. More takedown attempts. Richie absorbs 5.19 strikes per minute as well. Richie is active but inefficient. Jandiroba is dangerous in every second on the ground. All right, so something to keep on. Another dog we got here, Melissa Gatto at that plus 124. Closer than the odds say, I think. Higher striking output, 3.78 versus 2.27. Slightly better accuracy, but worse takedown defense. This is kind of a range versus grappling battle. Gatto wins if she keeps this standing, though. And then last but not least in the yellow zone, we got Guermey Pat at the minus 105. This is a sneaky mismatch. He's throwing 64% striking accuracy versus the 58%, 61% defense versus the 55%, and Peterson kind of relies on his wrestling. But, here's the problem. If this stays standing, Pat has victory written all over him. This is still volatile, but Pat has the cleaner striking, all right? Now, let's get in to the orange zone. Little overpriced maybe, but we're still going to talk about him. Jose Delano at minus 355. This line is pretty off, I would say. 9.73 strikes per minute, but 0 takedown accuracy. Rachula has 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. So if Rachula mixes in the grappling, this can get interesting real fast. I say Rachulo on a certain spread or decision is pretty sharp. Next up, we got Alice Padilla at that minus 120. This is defense versus offense. Padilla, 72% striking defense versus Cohen's 33%. Cohen has the grappling upside here, though. This is a slow, low confidence fight that I got here. All we have in the orange zone. Now let's talk the prop zone. All right, we got Alessandro Costa by finish. Opponent absorbs too much damage, finish is likely. Also, we're throwing in Azamat Bekoyev by finish. Pressure plus weak defense equals that. All right. Estevan versus Ewing. Decision. I think this is going to be a high grappling, a lot of stuff. Also, Retrulo to cover the spread. And now one that you guys might not like. Moicano inside the distance. All right. I just think there's a lot of opportunities. He's a very opportunistic guy. And then last but not least, we got Guilherme Pat. Let's just run that at the money line. I would even say though, you know, that it's very, very easy to throw maybe a finish in there. I think the athleticism and just the build. But anyway, we're going to cap it off with that. Now I want to tell you guys my lock. All right, we're getting into the lock zone. We're taking a calculated risk here with real value. The last two lock zones I had were heavy favorites. Now we're going to get into some plus money. We got Rafael Estevan at plus 136 is the lock. Yeah, you heard it right. We're locking in that plus money. But this isn't a gamble. This is a data-backed edge right here, okay? The numbers do not lie. The numbers do not match the odds either, I think. The 6.01 takedowns per 15 minutes versus Ewing's 3. Only 2.5 strikes absorbed per minute versus Ewing's 5.13. Higher accuracy by a small margin from 54% to 52%. You know, Ewing throws volume, but he does get hit. Like I said, Estevan controls fights, takes less damage. I think this is just a classic volume versus control matchup. Ewing has the high pace, high output, but absorbs more. I don't really see these guys finishing each other. Estevan's elite grappling pace will dictate where the fight goes. And I just believe he's a little bit more efficient everywhere. I think that's the difference here. That is why Rafael Estevan is going to be the lock zone this week. I'm going to try to get you guys some more plus money going forward. But yeah, volume activity. This is where it's going to be. High IQ. This is where we make money, guys. All right. Now, Estevan, he needs to learn some early takedowns, slow the pace, and control these rounds. Think he could possibly find a submission, but from what it seems, you know, Ewing looks like the real deal. He looks like he might be able to withstand that. So this is not a safe lock, guys. This is a sharp lock. This is the kind of play that separates the casuals from the real bettors out here, okay? This is people who beat the market, who beat the bookies. If you've been watching, I've been on a hot streak. I'm constantly beating the bookies here. But you guys, come on, bet to the rhythm. This is the rhythm zone here. We're not just picking stuff. We're using metrics. We're using data, and we're backing what we got, all right? Rhythm bets, bet to the rhythm.